Hey everyone, I'm the Compulsive Gamer, and welcome to Side Quest. This is where I talk about topics that didn't quite make the cut for main videos, didn't fit into the overall structure, or are just things I find interesting and want to rant about. These videos won't be nearly as structured as others, and they're really just for me to go on tangents that could otherwise throw off the main videos. For this episode, I wanted to look at the sound design of BRINK. Specifically, I wanted to look at BRINK's voice acting as well as its OST. Alright, let's structure. Let's go. Okay, so I first noticed the abnormalities regarding the voice acting when playing the game. What I noticed was how the voices didn't quite line up with the characters, both in the voices that the main characters had in the cutscenes, but also from match to match. It seems that voices are assigned to NPCs at random, which is fine I guess, but it also gets a little weirder. See, the AI also provides chatter based on what's going on. The most obvious ones are where the AI states what objective they're currently pursuing, or the interactions they're having with either the player or other AI, be they enemy or friendly, such as receiving buffs or taking fire.
I'll defend the mainframe, brothers! I'll escort you, man!
Help double boost on the way!
I'll destroy the side barricade!
Adrenaline boost on the way!
I turret! Deploy!
Combo restock!
What got me was when the AI started calling each other fascists. The term itself wasn't what was surprising though. Fascist is a pretty good catch-all term for those who you may disagree with, particularly if they carry a modicum of authority. However, what got me was that both sides called each other fascists.
Do I look like a fascist?
No matter which side you played as, the AI called the other fascist. At first, I thought this may be more subtle commentary on the power dynamic and discourse of the Ark and its inhabitants. But the fact that the AI voices are randomized in the first place made me second guess myself. Then, deep in the back of my mind, there came a dark thought. What if it was just lazy? What if the shared voice acting and recycled voice lines are all just because of poor coding and work? Or even worse, the lack of priority as resources were being redirected to other projects, such as Skyrim's development. At the time, I decided to just ignore it. However, once I noticed the discrepancies in the voice acting, I noticed something else with possibly similar dark origins. With a quick look at gameplay, it might not be so apparent, but when I was listening to the audio logs for the main video, I noticed that there was something that hadn't been present throughout the rest of the game. Female voice. BRINK only has two female voices. Ishmael, the narrator that appears only in the game's opening and epilogue movies, and founder Barbara Elmhurst, present only in her respective audio logs. Nowhere else in the game are there females present. Now, once again, I wondered if this was more below the surface world building, that the lack of playable or AI female characters was meant to communicate something about the conditions of the Ark, whatever that may be, from a stark future of humanity unable to sustain itself, or perhaps less robust arguments that have already been poorly attempted by the Escape from Tarkov developers. But then the intrusive thoughts started creeping in. What if the lack of female characters and voice actors was another result of resources being redirected to other, bigger projects? What if that instead of female models or recording female voice lines, priority was placed on further developing other titles? The problem is that I can't find much evidence to support either possibility. I didn't put this section into the main Let's Talk video because I simply don't know if both sides using fascist as an insult was by design or a result of neglect, or that the lack of females was supposed to be a part of a greater narrative, or if it was because Todd simply wanted the resources to go to Skyrim instead. And because of that, it can be either, or both, whichever seems funnier or more interesting to you. As for me, well, I get along with my intrusive thoughts sometimes, so I'll leave it at that. Alright, let's structure. Moving on. Now, I will preface that I am in no way musically trained. I can't read music, I'm not out here comparing syncopations with arpeggiations, and I can't tell you an oboe from an elbow. I'm just your average music enjoyer. That said, BRINK's soundtrack is surprisingly solid, and that's saying a lot since you really only hear it in the main menu or during cutscenes. Most of the time in matches, the only sounds are the effects like explosions and gunfire, or the unnerving sound of footsteps as you run all the way back to the objective after dying the umpteenth time. And when I say solid, I mean it serves its purpose surprisingly well, if not better than it has any right to. BRINK has this neat thing where there's different music playing based on what part of the main menu you're looking at, as well as for which faction you're looking at and with. For example, the music for the heavy is different than when you have the light chosen. Not only that, but the sound for the security heavy is also different from the resistance heavy. And this is where the soundtrack really comes into its own, in the atmosphere it sets for each faction. Both of the security and resistance soundtracks do an amazing job in my opinion of setting the stage for their respective factions. The security scores just sound tough and authoritative. The most notable aspects are the high and low horns, and believe me that this is the best way I can describe it, very technological sounding synth, presenting a sense of technologically advanced settings, like the security soundtrack would not feel out of place at a laser tag arena. And then there's the resistance soundtrack. Honestly, this is what got me thinking about making this video. I love the Resistance music, which is weird because it's actually much less intense than the security music. There are 3 key elements to the Resistance soundtrack. The strings, with a very heavy emphasis on what I assume is an erhu or similar Eastern string instrument. The drum-like percussions that I can't nail down but sound like some form of taiko. And finally, the vocalization, which comes in 2 forms. The standard high vocalization and, most notable for me, the throat singing. Now, as before, the choice of some of the sounds that are present specifically in the Resistance music struck me as interesting. Both the erhu and throat singing have steppe origins, the former associated with Chinese sounds and the latter being associated with Mongol Tuvan practices. This is all interesting considering that the leader of the Resistance is Chen, who was born in Guangzhou, but once again, there is nothing else substantial to support that the music represents or is meant to associate with anything significant. But could it? At the end of the day, I just think that BRINK's OST is neat, and does a really good job of setting the stage for the game, despite hardly playing when you are in-game proper. I hope you like this little side rant. As I make more videos, I will probably find stuff to go off on tangents about. I already have a few more planned as it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which will be more structured but not as in-depth as the Let's Talks. I'll be uploading it in about 2 weeks. Thanks again. See ya!